Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Viking Academy podcast. This week, we have Daniel White on the podcast. He's one of the world's greatest spiritual coaches for visionary entrepreneurs. I met him down in La Jolla, California, while I was there for the what's known as the Free Zone Summit. Free Zone is the top tier program in strategic coach, which Dan Sullivan coaches. So Dan Sullivan is my coach. Well, Daniel White is the coach to Dan Sullivan. So he's the coach of my coach. And so what's really, really cool about this is that we have a really in-depth conversation about his past, where he came from and how he became a spiritual coach and healer, energy healer. We talked about how to discriminate and discern between good energy and bad energy, good spirits, bad spirits. We talked about the clearest, quickest shortcut to getting everything you actually truly want in your life. There's one quick shortcut, and I can't believe I keep forgetting to do it, but he reminded me of it on this podcast. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to listen to the podcast to figure this out. We also talked about, which I thought was really cool, that the movie back in the 80s or the early 90s, it was a movie called Ghost with Patrick Swayze. He said that that is 95% true. That movie is actually almost bang on to what truth is in terms of the spiritual realm. Above all, he's combined business and spirituality together in a way that's absolutely beautiful. We had a hell of a conversation. One of my newest favorite people, because man, we went deep on everything to do with business, spirituality, and basically fulfilling your life's purpose, which is the ethos of the Viking Academy. So there you go. I think before I continue rambling on anymore, we should just get to the podcast, shall we? And as always, let's go explore. Welcome to the podcast.
Wonderful. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, no, I've been looking forward to this. So so we met at the Free Zone Summit down in California.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard of you through Marilyn Preble had talked about meeting you, and then Dan had mentioned you, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. And then I turned around, and literally 30 seconds after I thought, I want to meet this Daniel guy, I turned around and boom, there you were. And I was like, oh, this is great. Because I wanted to meet you. I wanted to talk to you about your work and what you're doing. I got your book as well, The Financial Freedom System. I got it. I read it. Very cool. I gave it to my wife, told her to read it. I said, let's implement it.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to talk about all sorts of stuff here with you. So tell me a little bit more. Let's do a little background, in your background. Then we'll get ourselves up to the present moment. And then I want to dive into the work that you do and the book that you wrote and anything else we decide to do.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So let me see. My profession started 32 years ago, or 33 years ago. I thought I just graduated from college, and I thought I'll take a year off and see if this work I'm doing is going to take me anywhere. Try it for a year, and before I go to grad school, and never went to grad school. So I've been doing it full time for 32 years. I've visited over 40 countries doing my work, and I've worked, because of Zoom and Skype, worked in over 70 countries. So with clients all around the world.
What were you going to take in school?
I was going for a Masters of International Business. I already got my degree in marketing and management, and I wanted to go the next level. So international business.
And then, so what stopped you from going that route versus doing what you're doing now? And what is it that you're doing now?
So I stopped. I was an athlete. The original story was I was an athlete training for the Olympics, and I got injured a week before the Olympic trials, and that blew years and years of training, and then I was going down a path of well, how do they get injured? What happened? How can I improve for the future? And it took me down a path, and I started studying the body-mind connection in more depth, and studying the forces with kinesiology as far as how the mind contracts or expands muscles, our thoughts and our feelings, our body reacts to environments and so forth. And I tried it. I thought I'll try this for a year before I go to grad school, and that was it. And then I was living in the US at the time, and my visa expired, so I went back to Australia, where I'm from, and set up shop. And boom, the first week I had like 7 clients. I couldn't believe it. And then it was like going from there. And so what happened was I was working with kinesiology really, and I had a full schedule with clients for about a year and a half. And then my heart was screaming at me, you got to do spiritual work. You got to do spiritual work. And I was like, oh man. So I said, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to do it, bite the bullet and do it. And like that, my business stopped. It was like, what have I done? All right. But I knew in my heart, I've got to do this. So I fought for about 6 years after that, trying to work out how can I make this work? And I just wouldn't give up because I knew God was telling me, you got to do this. This is your future. So I just kept going with it. And then, yeah, I made it through that first, on the 7th anniversary, I had a full page write up in the newspaper about me. And it took me almost 7 months to get through the calls from that one article. And so my business took off, and that's it. And I've been traveling the world ever since.
Wow. Okay. So the Olympics, what sport were you going in for?
I was a miler. So I ran sub 4 minute mile in college, and I was going to, well, back then it was the 1500 meters on track. So that was my event.
Oh, the 1500 meter. I was an 800-meter guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Speed demon.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know about the speed demon part. I would have done better. Actually, it was high jump was more my thing too. Like, so there's 800-meter and then a high jump.
Right.
And I did pretty well in the high jump. Nowhere near getting to Olympics. So, I mean, man, that's crazy. So you're at the Olympics and then, so you said you were studying to international business, then you started into kinesiology and you had that business for a while, but
Yep.
your heart, you said you kept getting pulled towards spiritual work. And
Yes.
what was the pull? What was that pull? I'm very curious on that.
It was like something in my heart was saying, well, obviously it was God then. My intuition was saying, you got to do the spiritual work. Kinesiology is great for the mind, body, environment, but you have to go to a new level. And I went to, what happened was I kept, 3 of my clients kept telling, in LA were telling me about this spiritual healer I have to see. And I'm like, spiritual healer. Anyway, I didn't know what a spiritual healer was back then. I was really close to God. I would talk to God every day. So obviously God set me up. The third client who recommended this healer was a Catholic priest. One of my clients was a Catholic priest. And so he's like, I'm like, well, if a priest is telling me to go there, maybe you should check it out. And I went there and it was like, oh, this is it. The transformation in that healing that I experienced. And I had no idea. Like I turn up thinking, what's the guy's going to be in white flowing robes and all this, head turbans. I had no idea what it was. And I met Victor, the healer, and he said he was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I'm going, hey, my kind of guy, right? And that's what it was. But I felt so deep in my heart, this is where I have to go. And so I pursued. Now, on a spiritual level, what happened was the reason I didn't have any work in the beginning was because I didn't have the spiritual strength to do the healings. I had the desire, I had the passion for it, I had the conviction, I had the faith, but I didn't have any spiritual strength. So for those 6 years that before it exploded, I was mixing spiritual with kinesiology, with coaching. I was trying to find some way to help, because my passion is helping people. So I found a combination. And finally, after 6 years, on the 7th year of my business, it just opened up and then it went from there. And then slowly the kinesiology dropped off and the coaching changed because I got very clear on what sort of market I want to work with, which was, I thought it was going to be athletes, but it was actually business. So, because I was always attracting business clients, especially in real estate, people were having problems selling properties, and real estate brokers who couldn't sell properties, they call me in, I clear the property, and the next day it would sell. So it was like I was opening doors for people. So, and then businesses would call me in because they're struggling with their bottom line. What's going on? Why is now money flowing? And I go and do a clearing and I find there was a bankruptcy in the building in a previous occupant and the energy was still there. So as soon as I moved the energy off the property, the business took off. So things like that. So then I knew, okay, let's go down the business side because that was my original passion anyway, as my target market.
That's so cool how that, because that you're talking about where I've been kind of not struggling, but I've been kind of been doing that. I'm getting called to do healing work, spiritual work, but I don't see myself as a healer. But if people ever I talk to, they're like, no, you're a healer, Eric. You're doing it all the time. And I'm like, I can't quite see it. But it's that combination between like I love business, but I love spirituality. And like for me, I've been for the last 18 and a half years, I've been actively seeking a higher power through like, because I'm a recovered alcoholic. So I've been working my 12-step program and trying to have that conscious contact with God. And I talking to him every day, right? And hearing that voice. But that, the fact that you took that leap, and that's why I always know that every time I take that leap of faith and that voice tells me to do it, when I do that leap of faith, I look back on it and go, man, that was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the best thing I ever did. I'm curious, when you said you were talking to God before, what did anything happen prior to that for have you to start talking to God? Like for me, I know it was my alcoholism, and then it was learning the 12 steps and realizing that my path to recovery was to clear a channel to a higher power. And that's what the 12 steps are all about. It's clearing a channel to your higher power so it can guide you. Right. What did you have a faith very young and you were always talking to God, or did something happen along the
I
way?
was always talking to God, and there were incidences in my life when I would pray and the answer would come within 24 hours. And so it was always there. And even when I was a kid, my family wasn't really religious, but I would jump on my bike and ride up to church every Sunday and then became an altar boy. And I thought I was going to be a priest. But then I also thought, no, I don't want to do that. So I found another way to be of service for God. So it was always there. And I remember the biggest, there was something going on with my father for many years. And one night I just got on my knees and prayed and prayed and prayed. And the next day we found out he had a brain tumor. It had been there for like 5 years and no one had ever identified it. So it was like, I was really clear when I felt God telling me it's going to be okay. Then boom, the next day we found what was really common. He'd lost his sense of smell, and we were trying to tell him all the time, Dad, there's something wrong and something wrong, and he wouldn't believe us.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was going to all these quack doctors, and then finally he went to a doctor who didn't let him come home. He went straight to hospital, and he was on the operating table within 2 days. So that was like praying so hard to God, asking for help because I knew something was wrong. You know, when you just know inside something's not right, you don't know because you're a kid, but it's just there. And so I always had that faith. And through college, of course, I dropped off a bit because I was more focused on my athletics than my spirituality. And then it came back around after college. And now, man, I'm talking to God all day long. It's great.
So this, when you were going down the business route, when you were going down to do international business and the rest of it, was that was that a calling that you heard from God, or was that your kind of your push on that side?
That was just me. That
Yeah.
was me thinking because my passion my whole life was to be an architect. And I started studying architecture when I was younger. And then I thought, well, when I shifted to my athletics, focusing on my Olympic dream, uh, when I thought I'm going back to college, I might as well do something that's pretty broad, which was business. Business covers everything, what I can learn there. Of course, you don't learn much in college. You learn it all on the job, right?
Yep.
So I just it was just for me to do business, just for something while I was doing my Olympic dream.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect the storylines of yours and mine kind of similarly because when I was looking at going in and becoming a chartered accountant, that's why I became a CPA. And it was just numbers, numbers, numbers. but my heart sings not with numbers per se, but with creativity. And I'm also playing a heavy metal band. So I like music and performing, and that's my jam. Like, I get me on stage, I'm a happy man. Right? Like,
Uh,
entertainment. But it was interesting because of, and I've done quite a bit of work, spiritual work with my healers and energy healers and soul guides, and I've done some past life regression, some NLP work, and seeing like why did I focus in on the accounting and the rest of that? And it was like, it's not, I've always, I know now that it's not my thing, but it's something I needed to do along my path. Like, that's one thing I'm very clear about now, is that everything that's happened along my path has served me in some way, even though I haven't necessarily understood it when I was going through it. I probably never understood it when I was going through it. But now it's like this, following this guidance from this, from a higher power, from God, is the key, and it's the answer. But I keep forgetting to go back to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I keep forgetting to go back to that connection, and I get caught up in the world
Yep.
over and over again. And then I'll read something, or I'll have a conversation, or you'll say something, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, right, of course. There, there was the, right. There was my lifeline the whole time.
Mm.
Right. And so do
Yeah.
you finding yourself now, are you following that guidance consistently, and he's telling you what to do and where to go and how to work with people, or how does that work for you?
Yes, the target market I picked because I love working with people who want to grow. That's my personality, especially with athletics, right?
Yeah.
How can you improve your results? How can you win? How can you get better every time? So that was business was a great, especially entrepreneurs, of course, is more than just business. Working with entrepreneurs who love to grow. Uh, I've always been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid, going around cleaning windows as a kid to get some cash, some pocket money, or things like that, setting up a little business in the holidays. So it's already been part of me just for my life experience. But when I ask God, it doesn't matter who the person is, what their profession, God's going to help any of his children. So I'm asking God, how can I help this individual? This is what they're struggling with. What can I do? And God just tells me. Or he will guide me in certain ways, just do this to remove the blockage from them. And I remove it, and then they feel fantastic. It's like, well, I had this pain and now it's gone. Or I had this struggle with this person and now it's disappeared. I don't have any stress anymore. So removing the stress from people. And all it is removing the energy blocks, or it could be a spiritual block, whatever level it is, to help them.
So you're actually engaged in the ultimate collaboration. I was just in Chicago for my first free zone,
Uh-huh.
because I just joined the free zone, and I did my first free zone session with Dan, and that was one of the biggest things that came away from the 2 days. I did a 10x with Chad Johnson, and then I did the free zone with Dan. And over those 2 days, it was all about like, who's your best ultimate collaboration partner? And I was like, God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like it was like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you are actively engaged in the ultimate collaboration, which is what we're doing all the time unconsciously, but you're doing it consciously,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I think it's just so cool because, like, it's interesting because I've talked to some people, or shall we say, people have vision that, well, business is business and spirituality is spirituality, or artists are artists and business people are business people. I'm like, no, it's all creation. It's all the
Yes.
act of creativity. And that's
Yeah.
something that I've been really, it's fired me up. Like, you wouldn't believe, Daniel. Like, I'm so excited about it because I'm like, yeah, right. That's why I love being an entrepreneur, because it's creative. And that's
Mm.
why I love being an artist, because it's creative. And that's why God loves it so much, is because that's what God's doing all the time. It's a creative act. It's like, how
Yeah.
can I create it? Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But you're in this creative collaboration with the ultimate creator, the creator, right?
Yep, exactly. Yes. Uh, it's the best. It's the best feeling. To be able to get information, bypass, because also another part of me is I don't like surface stuff. I like going right to the deep. dark depths of where the issue is from. So if we clear the issue down here, we clean everything above it, right? So I go deep into fire, and so God just shows me where to go. And I go down there, boom, and I get it. And then suddenly all these other things, all the ripple effect in the people's lives happen because you got rid of the surface stuff. Now, the reason that happened was what I had a client really early in my business, and after the session, she said to me, I've been working on this for 10 years with my therapist, and you just got rid of it in 1 hour. And my thinking was, why would anyone spend 10 years in therapy on a problem? And I was like, I want to keep this, do it in one session. That was it. I want to find what is the root cause of all this stuff on the top, the surface. And if I can get rid of that, the people are going to have freedom for the rest of their life. And so that's where it all began.
The ultimate shortcut.
Yeah.
Right? You're thinking of shortcuts, right?
Yes.
Like, but you're going to like instead of us always dealing with the symptoms, you're dealing with the root cause.
Yes.
And the root cause is so much deeper than we I'm going to say we as people that don't heal the way you do. We don't see the root cause because it's at the spiritual level, at the quantum level, where maybe there's a quantum entanglement. And this is me, by the way, me speaking out of my ass a little bit. So if I'm saying something that doesn't sound right, just say, well, yeah, you kind of got that right, Eric, but maybe not. But my understanding is a quantum entanglement with maybe a past life or someone else's issue, like with clearing a house, like you said before, like maybe there was a bankruptcy that happened in the previous business that was there, and that's residual energy is still there. So there's a quantum entanglement that we don't necessarily see, or we can't see. We don't know what it is. I think at some level, we all probably feel it. Like we know something's not quite right, but we can't access it. But you get to access it because you're collaborating with the ultimate creator. The creator goes, it's down here, Daniel. That's where this is where Eric's problem is. It's right there.
Like I'll have a client come with a health issue, right? Say it's high blood pressure, for instance. And I'm looking, and they're going to every therapist and every doctor and everything trying to get rid of the high blood pressure. And I looked at it and I looked at the root cause and go, no, the high blood pressure is helping you. What are you doing getting rid of it? Right? It's actually showing you what's happening in your environment, and you're reacting to your environment. So there's an issue is not about the high blood pressure. It's about building up your strength to be in any environment, and your blood pressure will go down. So it's actually like a defense mechanism. You wouldn't go into a war as a Viking without your sword and shield.
Right.
Or your axe and shield. Right? It makes sense. If you go without, then suddenly you're going to have massive high blood pressure. But if you go in with that conviction, you have the protection and the sword and the axe, no problem. You can deal with the environment in a lot better way. So going deep to the root of the problem will give you answers that most people cannot see. And just asking God, what's the root of the problem?
Right. One thing that I remember, or I hear either Dan said it or Marilyn told me about Dan saying it or something that, or no, maybe he said it at the Free Zone Summit. He said basically, he goes, I don't have any past anymore. Like he's cleared his past. He's worked with you for so long. He's cleared his past. I'm curious about that, how that works with the past that we have that's carrying along with us, which is, and again, this has been my experience working with the people that I've done, is there's past life experiences. There's other planetary, like the last session I did with my energy healer, she went to a past life regression for me that was actually on Orion. I was in a different planet, in a different solar system, in a different lifetime. That's carrying along with me, and it was clearing the negative or the karmic load from whatever happened back then. Am I correct in what I'm kind of describing there from your experience about what you're doing with clearing past, like not having that past carry with you?
Well, when I can give you my personal example. When I started working on clearing my past, people would always come to me with well, what about this past life or that past life? And I say, I've got enough to deal with in this life. Forget about past life. Let me deal with this life now, right?
Yeah.
So I focus on that. and just kept clearing as issues came up in life every day. I would just work on clearing what is the origin of that issue. And so I got clearer and clearer and clearer. And now I'm actually looking at past lives that are coming up because I've done all the stuff on the present. And with Dan, it's the same thing. We did so much work on what was happening in his present day that there was nothing else to go back to. So now they're just memories now, right? Life experiences which he can learn and grow from. Now he's working on his future. And being a 10 quick start, it's really good for him to work on his future because that's his strength.
Yeah.
So we're always looking at how can we move to what's in the way in the future. And maybe once every year or every couple of years, we'll hit something from the past. But basically, it's always going forward in the future. How he can develop his next thinking tool, how he can develop the next program. Like when we built 10X, he had the formula. He just needed to get the energy right. How free zone happened, it's like it's all about the future. So when you got, this from entrepreneurs, they might have all this success and growth, but they can't balance their books. Like coming from a CPA background, they can't balance the books, and so they're constantly in stress.
Yeah.
And when they clear that issue, then they can move forward as they should be doing, right? What their potential is.
Right.
So looking at what's happening in your life now and going forward is the key. Now, it may have an origin in the past, or it may have an origin in a past life, but you don't have to dwell there. You just clear it and move on. And a lot of people get caught up in their past and they get stuck. Going back into the past is like it's a trap because it sucks your energy. It drains you. Instead of moving forward, being in the present and moving forward into your future.
Yes, I totally see that. And I'm starting to understand that because a lot of people are like, oh, well, why are you acting this way? Oh, because my mom did this and my dad did that or whatever. It's this current past life trauma, like in the current life.
Yep.
But the interesting thing is I never realized that there was all this karmic debris or carrying things that were in past lives or other worldly dimensions that were affecting me today. I am completely oblivious to that, right? Until I was working with someone, they were like, "Oh, wait a second, there's something here we have to fix." I'm like, "Okay, well, what is it?" Well, it's back here, and I'm like, I had no idea. But when they explained it to me, whatever happened back there, it made so much more sense in the present moment why I react to certain things in a certain way, you know? And that for me, that's been my understanding is that I'm a future oriented guy too. Like I'm looking at all my like I've got my Colby, I've got my working genius, I got my print, and I've got my um, you know, my Clifton strengths. I've got them all printed here on the side. So I'm always looking at them going like what makes Eric tick, right? And me,
Yeah.
it's
What did you
about
call?
my Colby is a 6'4" 7'3".
Okay.
6'4" 7'3". And the one that working genius is intuition,
So you're the boss of you.
invention, and discernment. Sorry?
So you're the boss of you. That's your strength.
I'm the boss of me.
Yeah. So that's your strength with your Colby, that you're the boss of you, so that if you focus on personal responsibility, you wouldn't need to go back into your past in the present. What's holding you back in taking personal responsibility for whatever it is, whether it's the business or the drinking or the fitness or the building, whatever it is in your life, your faith, your spirituality, and you say, okay, how can I take personal responsibility for this because I'm the boss of me? Then you will move forward instead of going back into the past and cleaning up the past.
And that's literally I wrote, those 3 rules that Dan gets out of the latest thinking tools. It comes up with rules. The first rule I have there is I have agency over my experience.
Beautiful.
I have agency over my experience. That thing is, to me, has just been like the most powerful one. It's just, I have agency over it.
That's it, because you're the boss of you.
Yeah, I'm the boss of me. But how did you get I'm the boss of me out of that Colby?
I did a lot of work. Kathy was a client of mine for a long time,
Oh, okay.
and most of the Colby team actually. So I was doing a lot of research and backstage learning, and so I can see flow with numbers, and and I understand that because I'm very similar to you. I'm also the boss of me, so I understand you. Uh,
What's your Colby?
3657.
3657. Cool.
Let me write yours down again.
66473.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so that's how I knew there's certain characteristics beyond the numbers that like someone who doesn't have any of the middles, like we have sixes and fours and fives. If they don't have any middles, they will or they won't do things, and that's it. And that can be an awesome person for on your team to get stuff done if they're very clear on what they love to do and what they don't like to do. And then if you just give them work to do what they love, amazing team member, because they won't do the other stuff and that'll frustrate the crap out of you, right?
You know, that concept of hiring people with batteries included
Mhm.
and them giving them what they love to do and they never because their unique ability will feed them more energy back than what they put into it.
Yes.
That energizes me so much because it brings me back to the kind of the ethos of the Viking Academy, which is I believe that every person was put on the planet for a reason, but we're
Mhm.
the only species that doesn't know why we're here. And that's the fun of it, is that we get to go and explore and discover that, right?
Yeah.
Self-discovery, which I think for me is so exciting because the more I start seeing what my highest self wanted me to experience down here and I get into that flow, that's when the fun happens. Like that's when the joy happens. That's when the excitement happens. That's when it's like, oh, this is what I was here to do. Because now
Yeah.
this is feeling great. You know,
Yeah.
it still can be hard work, but you're like doing it with a smile on your face.
And you're energized by the hard work, right?
Yeah.
And you're sleeping because you did a good day of work, right? You're not
Yeah.
sleeping because you're exhausted. They're a
Yeah.
different sort of exhaustion. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
very cool.
joyful tired. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joyful tired. And so
What
for
a
me, that's like, and I keep seeing that. Like, what if we had, and this unique ability teamwork where everybody's fired up and energized doing the thing they love to do, and you combine it together and it creates something even greater, which is what I see when I look around, when I look outside at the universe, that's all I see is a big collaboration. I see
yeah.
the trees giving us oxygen and we're giving CO2 to the trees. We're collaborating with the trees all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Like it's been wrapping in my head lately that it's like this, the whole thing is one big collaboration. It's
Mm.
all that, right? But it's,
Yeah.
are we being, are we being conscious about that? And that's why I love the fact that you're so consciously connected with God and working and collaborate, like actually collaborating with God with what the work that you do.
Yeah.
Like that's, and do you, so here's a question for you. Do you think that that is, if, if anybody does that and they're collaborating with the creator on a regular basis, they're going to find their bliss and what their purpose is?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're connecting uh, with it, oh, well, let me tell you this way. If I look at people who don't have any faith or don't have any connection or relation with God, I see how much they struggle because even with their teams, they don't have uh, because when you're talking to God, you're reaching out. But if someone doesn't have that ability or that habit to reach out, even if they have teams in their businesses, they can't reach out. The energy is not transferring. And I would see this, you talk about music, I would go with some of the greatest uh, musician scouts looking for new bands. And I go and do sessions with them where I'd follow them around to all the concerts where new bands are playing. And I could tell them which band is going to be successful and which will not because of the way they give the energy to the audience or not give the energy to the audience. Music sounds fantastic, but there's no relationship with the audience because the energy is not going out. They're just keeping it to themselves, and just the music is going out. And so it's like that. Do you have the ability to reach out to yourself, outside of yourself, or the habit to ask for help or to give to others? And if you don't, it's going to be really hard. And when you have a relationship with God and you're able to receive from God, you got a win-win. Like you said, the greatest collaboration.
You know what I loved? I totally get that, because when I'm on stage, so I'm the drummer and lead singer of our band. So
Right.
there's a three-piece, there's a bassist, a guitarist, and then me. I project out into the crowd. Like my energy circle goes into the crowd and brings them in a hug, and then they're interacting. And it's so energizing to be back there, just to be playing and banging away and singing and making eye contact and engaging with everybody. And it's like, it's just the most amazing experience, because you're fully there. And I have been to other shows and I've watched the bands. It's like, okay, it sounds good, but the music, like they're not connecting with the audience whatsoever. And it's like, there's no energy. There's no sharing of, there's no sharing of energy back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to ask a question. What is the strangest blockage you've ever removed from somebody? Like, what is the strangest thing that even surprised you when you went, whoa, what that? I hadn't seen that coming.
Uh, I have so many thousands I can't think of, but I'm thinking of, okay, what was a breakthrough moment that surprised me?
Yeah.
And I would say it was someone who wanted to give up smoking. And I asked God, how can I help them? And God told me the smoking is helping them. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. Smoking is not good for you. That was my conditioning, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, smoking helps them to breathe because they don't know how to breathe on their own. Teach them how to breathe and they won't need to smoke anymore. And so I taught them how to breathe and they stopped smoking without trying. That was amazing for me.
Isn't this where, I was just rereading Conversations with God from Donald Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was a line that I just read this morning, is that it was God was saying back to him, going, it's the things that you think are absolutely certain that you're offside with. Why don't you just ask me and I'll tell you?
Yeah.
And he said, but I ask you and you tell me stuff and it doesn't sound right. And he said, because you're not listening to me. He goes, just listen to me. And I'm talking to you all the time. So I'll tell you things that seem completely counterintuitive. That's because you haven't experienced it. So you think it's wrong, but it's not, it's right. Like just what you just said there.
Yeah.
Like God said, no, smoking's good for them. It's like, what?
So I'll give you a great example. I prepared, I was looking for an EA probably 15 years ago. I was preparing all the advertising, got everything ready. And then I was going to present the advertising to God to bless it for the right person to come. And immediately God gave me the person. And I'm like, no way. I'm not having that woman in my business. I'm not, no way. She's not coming anywhere near my company, blah, blah. I was just because I know this lady. And I'm like, and I was like, no way. And then I said, okay, God, you're the boss. All right, sorry, God. I'll ask her. So I called her and I said, are you looking for a job? She said, yes, I am. I go, okay, God, check. Okay, do you want to come work with me? We'll try it out. She was the best EA I ever had. She worked for 7 years until she retired. Amazing lady. And now I even call her in to train my current EAs. See, because I'd only seen her where she wasn't in her unique ability. I'd never seen her in her unique ability as an EA. And I gave her the opportunity to be in her unique ability. And so and this has happened many times, but I created a program which I can share with you and your listeners, how the 3-step process working with God. And especially this is great for entrepreneurs. So that with God, you have to do some work. God hates laziness. God hates takers. God, I use the word hate because that's the language we use, right?
Yeah, yeah,
God
understood. Yeah.
dislikes intensely, right? It's really against God to be lazy. It's against God to be a taker. Uh, so if you ask God without doing some work, you're not going to get a great answer. But if you do some work and then ask God, God's going to support you. And so I have this process, the three-step process, which is what I did with the EA back then, where you have it. Say we're talking business here. You have a business plan. You create the business plan for a growth of your business, and you get it all ready. You got your business plan set out with all the quarterly goals and the yearly goals and everything. And then that's the first step. Second step, you take it to God, or the end of the first step is you take it to God and you say, God, this is my plan. What is your business plan for me? And then you listen, and God will tell you because you did the work. God will give you an answer. And when God gives you the answer, after you pick yourself up off the floor, like I've had that experience, or the experience with the EA, right? Then that's step two. Step three is you ask God one question: what's my next step? And what I've found in this process, I'll do projects with God and I'll do projects that I love to do on my own. It's so much easier doing it with God because he's only got one step. Whereas you do it on your own, you have to have your quarterly, weekly goals, the whole yearly goals. You've got all these checkpoints. But with God, you just ask, what's the next step? And when you achieve that step, you ask, what's the next step? And when you achieve that step, and it just happens so much faster because it's God bypassing all the resistance.
My brain's exploding right now, dude. Oh, because I'm just like, oh, business is so hard for people. It's so hard because we're trying to do it by ourselves
Yes.
instead of collaborating with the ultimate collaborator.
Just like playing with an audience and not collaborating with the audience. It doesn't work. It's just exhausting.
It's a lot of work, and it's not joy. This intuition, that following intuition, the last 4 podcasts I've had, almost every person was talking about follow your intuition, follow your intuition. What's that intuition? And the intuition, I think it's just these little God shots going ding.
Yeah.
Going,
God,
ding,
intuition is
ding, ding,
God talking to you. You pray to God and God answers through your intuition.
Yeah.
That's it. And there's another breakthrough you can say for me. Once I was walking in my front yard and suddenly I felt fear, like through my whole body. And immediately God said, or my angel said to me, were you afraid a minute ago? And I go, oh, no, I wasn't. And in that moment, I understood. I was feeling the fear of a ghost that was there, a spirit. And in that moment, I realized this is not my fear. I was feeling the pain of the spirit, the other person. And that gave me so much compassion to want to help them. And this was a real breakthrough in my spiritual healing because I can actually help the spirit instead of thinking it's all my problem. And it wasn't. I was just sensitive. That was my gift. So that was my intuition. That was learning about your intuition is God talking to you. It will give you the answer, whether it comes from your angel, your guardian angel, or from a spirit guide, or direct from the big man.
You just tapped on something there that I did want to talk to you about. So, and there's 2 pieces. One is is it mine or is it somebody or something else's?
Yes.
It's that discernment of going, I don't feel right now, but pausing for a moment and going, is this even mine? And asking, is this mine? If it's yes or no. If it's no, then whose is it? It's okay, it's this other spirit. And then the third question that I'd be asking that came to my head was, what can I do to help this spirit
Mm.
then? Like, what can I do to help? Right.
Yes.
But it's that discernment, whether it's mine or not. And it's because I've been a very sensitive soul. And I think it's also a trait of alcoholics, very, very
Of course.
sensitive people. Right. And that's why I went to the bottle, because that was getting me closer to God. That was the spirits.
No, alcohol was helping you to deal with the overwhelm from all the energies from other people. Alcohol was actually helping you, not hurting you. It just hurt you after a long period of time
Yeah.
because you didn't have a relationship. That's what I'm saying about taking personal responsibility. Having a relationship with uh, how can I become stronger inside so I don't need the alcohol to balance the environment. Okay, it's not necessary. So that's just the sidekick. How it can help your listeners when you go into a situation you feel that. What I teach my clients is you say, thank you, my intuition, for showing me. If you do that and the energy leaves you, you know it's not yours. Then you can say, okay, God, how can I help this person? If it is yours, it's going to stay there and say, okay, this is mine, I better deal with it. So it will immediately, if you're sensitive, you're into it. As soon as you acknowledge, thank you, my intuition, for showing me, it immediately leaves you. Immediately, because it's not yours. Now, if it's an environmental situation, say there's something happening in the community, or in this case in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel this stress, then I would go bigger. I wouldn't say thank you, my intuition, and say thank you, God, for showing me. And immediately it leaves you. It gives you the breathing space to say, okay, this is not mine. How can I help? What can I contribute to help this situation? But you need that breathing space so that you can get clarity on your answers. Otherwise, you're being influenced by the energy that's crowding you.
This is making so much more sense for me right now. I'm like, I've again, it's interesting that a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, like Eric, you're a healer, you're a healer." I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not a healer, but I'm realizing I'm way more intuitive and sensitive than I've ever given myself credit for.
There you
Right?
go.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
like, and also like I'm talking to, and this is one thing I wanted to talk. There's a second part that I actually wanted to talk to you about as well. Was I'm having conversations with God, but I'm also having conversations with angels, and I'm having conversations with other spirits and other gods, and it's like there's these layers. But if I just go, I want to talk to the big guy, boom, I go straight to the big guy.
Hmm.
But it's like there's these levels of deities or beings that are on a higher frequency than where we're at from the
Mm.
human level, that are all aspects and manifestations of God, but it's not the direct line to God. Do you know what I mean? Like they're all, that's been my understanding. Is that
Yep.
your understanding?
Different levels of like different ranks, if you like. If you think of the human way of ranking in a organization or in the military, different rank levels. There's different levels up to the top person. So you go to different people on the way. You also always want to go up. You don't want to go down. You want to stay from the lower consciousness, right? And I
Yes.
saw this. I went to this expo and I was watching this lady do a healing on this client, and the spirit behind her was even lower than her, and the person got off the table messed up. It actually hurt the person because the spirit was sucking energy from the client in a negative way, taking. And I was like, why would she let something lower than Eva herself work with her? Is because she was under the illusion, oh, it's something spiritual, so that must be good. But it wasn't. It was something that was lower. She wasn't discerning, is this a good spirit or a bad spirit?
How do you discern that?
Your intuition.
So you think this healer wasn't tapped into her intuition, or she was
She
just
was,
blocking it out or whatever?
as I teach in my books, she was living above the neck, not below the neck. so she couldn't feel her heart. If she felt her heart, she would have felt something's wrong. God talks to us through our heart, not our head.
Is this why our heads are sometimes out to get our ass because our heads are thinking at a lower level vibrationally sometimes? Good.
The way I describe it is our head is a computer that isn't connected to Wi-Fi. So it's only all the information it has is inside the hard drive of the computer. Whereas when you connect to your heart, it's like connecting to Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is like God. But also all spirits. So then the discernment part comes from, okay, I'm connected with my heart. Is my heart open? Is my heart warm? Or is my heart closed? And is my heart hurting? Then I know this is a lower frequency than me. If it's open and I feel there's love coming through my chest, there's a spirit with me that's really with God or a higher level than me. So I'm able to help as teamwork with that spirit to help the client.
So this is why, and this is how you discern whether or not you're, because that was one of the questions that I'll do to myself once in a while. I'll be like, am I really listening to, is this really God talking? Is this not? And sometimes I'll hear, yeah, no, it wasn't. It's not God. I was just messing with you, right? Like, or it's a lower energy that's messing with me. And it's always accompanied by a little bit of a heart flutter or a little bit of a fear response on my part.
Yep. So the way you can do it is ask, do you come in the name of God? Just be straight. If they can't say, most spirits of high frequency will present themselves, I come in the name of the Lord thy God, or I come in the name of Jehovah, or I come in the name of the Great Spirit, depending on what their cultural upbringing was when they're alive. So they will announce their position. They will not hide. I remember once I had a client who was telling me about the spirit guide she's working with, and I'm like, that's not the same. What you think, that spirit is telling you who they are, but they're not, that they're lying to you. And then when I called on the actual real spirit, the client felt the difference. And she goes, what have I done? I've been working with someone who's a liar, a spirit who is lying. And it was a lesson for her. And I asked the spirit, why did you impersonate someone else? And he explained he rode with him and he was jealous of him, the higher spirit. And so he wanted to be like him. And so he was like an earthbound spirit. He was stuck because he never had that heart, that freedom to go to God. So he got stuck on a planet and impersonated after that, trying to be someone he's not. Yeah, just like humans do it, right?
Yeah.
People they're not living their unique ability. They're trying to be someone they're not. And you can just feel it with them if you're sensitive. Otherwise, you get sold. People who spend time above the neck, they're easily sold.
You said when you were watching, you were at that fair and you saw the one spiritual person trainer or healer working on someone, and you saw behind the spirit. Do you actually physically see?
In this case, I was shown the darkness behind her. And then when I went next to the table where she was working, all my hair stood up, like the bad feeling when you're bad around a bad energy.
Yeah.
And so that was the confirmation, because I wasn't switched on. It was just shown. And that was the confirmation when you have that bad feeling, oh, there's something bad here. That was the confirmation. Whereas if it was a really good spirit, I would have felt so much love pouring out of my chest, right? Again, below the neck, like the arms below the neck, or the gut going like this. That's not a good feeling. Whereas when you're with something that's good, you feel very relaxed and at peace.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's a higher frequency spirit.
So when you said you saw it, you sensed it.
It was like I saw this black shadow behind her because I wasn't switched on. I wasn't really tuned in. I was just being a spectator. And then I saw it. I go, oh, that's not good. And then when I saw the lady get off the table and she's really dizzy and messed up, I go, oh, that's not good. And then I checked again. Then when I asked God what was going on, he told me they were impersonating. And this lady she was just jumping on the spiritual bandwagon, thinking it's a really cool thing and not actually having any discernment what she was working with. thinking that everything was good and not being real, that not everything is good.
Do you work to train other people to do the work that you do, or do you do
No,
training? No,
no.
but you had did you have a trainer for yourself?
Yes, there is training available, and people can get in contact with, getting help for that. I can give you that information later.
Right.
Um, the it's not, I will train with a client like we're doing now. I'll give you information. But as far as the spiritual growth log, it took me so many years to get the spiritual strength. It took me up to 15 years before I could do like a removal of a spirit, a possession of a person. But I wouldn't give up. So I just kept hanging in there and growing my spiritual strength till I had the spiritual strength where I could actually remove the spirit. And then when I work with people who are suicidal or uh, extreme drug abuse themselves, as soon as I removed the spirit from them, they didn't have any desire for the drugs, or they didn't, God, I don't want to kill myself. I love my life, because the spirit was telling them to do it, not them. It wasn't them. They were possessed.
When is there a difference between someone being possessed by a spirit who's doing those negative things and someone who's just not necessarily possessed, but they're just in the throes of the alcoholism or the disease? Or is it always a possession by
No,
another spirit?
it's not always possession.
No.
But when it's a dramatic shift from one person suddenly becoming a druggie, or suddenly taking on an addiction, it's usually spiritually related. It could be a spirit who had those addictions when they're alive, and they're just looking for another one to have the experience. Because once they get on the person, they can have the feeling of re-experience the drugs or the alcohol or whatever, the smoking, whatever it is.
So that's spirits wanting to experience human experience again, and they find an opening on someone who's got a weakness or something, and they're prone to it, and then they'll go in and jump
Yep,
on the bandwagon.
like attracts like, and then they'll talk the person into doing it, encourage them to partake or be in environments where they where it's there's a lot of it. Say for alcoholism, they're always in bars. They're not in a park. They're different environments. So they'll whisper in the ears of the people, or whisper in their mind to get them into those environments so they can experience it again. And that's their addiction. They're addictive earthbound spirits, people that died that never went across to the other side. They got stuck. Great. There's a great movie. Remember the movie was it the 90s, I think? Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore.
Oh yeah, the Ghost. It was Ghost.
Yeah, that's like 95% accurate of everything in that movie.
Really?
All the being like the bad guys that came to get the bad leeches, that's real. The fact that someone didn't go to the other side because they're helping. Some of them help. They don't go yet. They go later. They've got things to do. Or they're waiting for someone to go. There's been a lot of good movies out there that show it all. So
That's wild.
that's a great example. And of course, there's a real fun TV show. I think it was CBS or one of those called Ghosts. It was a fun comedy around.
Yeah, it's on right now. Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
right now. Ghost. Yeah, second season or something like that.
Right. So that was a good light, because the lady, when she fell down the stairs and hit her head, her spirit came out of her body. She got dislodged. And if you've got your physical body and you've got your spirit, they're meant to be nice and snug together. And if you have an accident, sometimes your spirit pops up. So your eyes are out of your head. You can see things in the spiritual world that you wouldn't normally see. So you got to get back into your body to complete your karma. You were talking about the past lives. You got to be in your body to do your karma. Otherwise, you're wasting a lifetime. And then I've seen the people that have this accident, they pop out, or they do some drugs and they pop out, or they have a healing and they pop out, don't come back in, and then they go and print business cards because they're a spiritual healer, but they're out of their body. This is more in the 90s than now, but it was really big back then. People would just get on the bandwagon because it's all spiritual. And it was just, no, you're not spiritual, you're just out of your body. You're seeing things and thinking you're doing things, but you're not. And unfortunately, we have to be in our body to complete our karma. If we're out, we can't do our karma.
You're literally out of your mind.
Yeah,
Like, you know what you used to say, you're out of your mind? That was them
exactly.
popping out of their mind, out of their body, and actually, yeah.
Yeah. So the eyes go from here to up here. So suddenly you can see everything, and you got to come back down. And there's a great, I used to ask clients when I could see their other body, like women, do you have problems wearing high heels? Oh, I can't wear high heels. I fall over all the time. Or people, do you bump into things? Oh, I always bump into things because the
Yeah.
spirit's out of their body. When your spirit's in your body, your spirit is showing you where to go walk, where to feel safe, where it's safe for you.
That's cool. So this, I want to ask you a question on the good spirits versus bad spirits, because one of the things that one of the realizations I've had lately is that it's all, and this may sound egotistical, but it's not, but everything is me. It's all like I'm one with the universe, I'm one with God. It's all one, right? And that is completely safe. Everything is safe. Like there's no, regardless of how horrible things happen here on earth, we're always going back to the one source, and then we'll come back and visit it again and do something different. But it's like it's a safe playground. And God is the father's looking down on his children. The children are all freaking out and having a heyday, but he's like, you're all safe. You're all just playing. Like there's no real danger here. And then I think about this negative spirits or positive spirits and discerning between what's a lower vibration energy versus a higher, that causes me to feel fear. And then I fall back into the duality of that. Is the first explanation that I had more in alignment with truth in your understanding versus the second one? Or
The first one is actually a manipulation. The first one is a manipulation for humanity to make people vulnerable, to be abused, to be taken advantage of, whether it's from humans doing it or from spirit doing it. Just like there's good and bad people. Otherwise, you'd have someone coming at you with a gun or a murder weapon, and they're going to kill you and say, "Oh, it's all love and peace and joy," and then boom, you're dead. And it's not true. God doesn't want us to kill each other. God wants us to have a good life on the planet. What we choose to do with that is another story. He gives us freedom of choice. So why would we need discernment if everything was love and joy and happiness, right?
I'm not, maybe I didn't explain it.
Okay.
Let me kind of, I'm not giving it as an explanation to allow us to do whatever the heck we want. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not saying, but when I really started to understand my connection with God and being one with God, and all of a sudden I was like, I could see through clear eyes. I can see someone doing something negative and I don't want to hurt people. And now I don't want to hurt anybody because I know it's all me. Like
Yep.
this is all me. So instead I want to, I can still love the other person, but I don't love what they're doing. And
True.
I don't agree with
Yeah,
it.
and you can have compassion for them and pray for them, bless them. God, please bless them and help them to see the right way, the right path for them. Then that's okay if you can see that. But you still got to protect your physical body because your physical body is the temple for the soul, for the spirit.
Yeah. So there's still on that plane, you're still going to protect, like you're not just going to go, well, don't have to do anything, because I still believe that I'm here to fulfill a purpose. Right. But it's that combination of knowing that everything is completely one with the creator. I'm here experiencing this in temporal form. It creates a lightness off my shoulders and a more joy and open in my heart. And I'm like, I feel more alive than I did before because I'm not scared anymore, so to speak.
If you've spent your whole life following your intuition, life would be amazing because you will be in the right place at the right time, and every day is a great day because you're following God's guidance, God's path for you. If you don't listen to your intuition, or you go again, I mean, how many times do people say, "Oh, I wish I'd listened to my gut instinct. I wish I'd listened to my," right?
All the time,
you
all
get
the time.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you listen to your head instead of your heart. Then you're going to cause problems for you. Life is not so good on the planet. So the more you follow your intuition, the more life is great. Sometimes it takes a while to find the right place, like say where I'm living now in Colorado. It took me years to find everywhere I went, I knew it wasn't my place. And I found a few places on the planet that would be good for me, but it just still, my intuition was still saying, not, this is not the right place. So I had to keep exploring until I found the right place. When I found it, now I'm just so happy. I've been here 3 years and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm so happy. And I've never had this anywhere. I travel all the world and I go for the adventures and exploring places and seeing things that has history and on the planet and what humanity's done. But when I come back here, I'm at peace. Now, there's other peaceful places on the planet I've been to, but I wouldn't live there because it's not the right place for me, for my mission.
Right. It's like we just came back from Palm Springs for a week. It was Christmas or spring break. So my daughter's 13 and we went with another couple with their kids and we went to Joshua Tree.
Oh, nice.
Oh my. I was just, I can't wait to go back there because I just loved it so much. It's so beautiful and peaceful and just the energies there are just, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't have, like, I just want to go back.
Yeah.
You know?
Would you be there? Would you live there?
No.
Right?
No, I wouldn't live there.
See
No.
the difference?
No, there's a difference. Like, I'll tell you
Yes.
right now, like where I'm at right now, I'm looking at the ocean.
Beautiful.
And when this Viking gets on his boat in that water, or if I go down and do a cold plunge into that water, Daniel, I am home.
Yeah.
I am home, right? But I still, there's been some problems with the house and all the rest of that stuff. And I'm not sure if it's here physically, like this spot, or it just the area. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I feel at home when I'm on the ocean, in the water, on the water, my happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you live there?
Yeah.
In the water?
Could I live in the water?
Yeah.
Not in it. Not in it, but on it. Could I live on the water on a boat? I don't know.
So unless you try it, you won't know, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
But the point I'm trying to make is sometimes we have these places we go to and visit to have the contrast, to help us to understand how life is so different and environments are so different. And this helps us to appreciate what we have, to grow and change what we have, to take responsibility for what we have. And that's great, but we wouldn't spend all our time there. We just go there for it. So if you went to Joshua once a year, every year for spring break, you'd be in heaven, right? It's like a great place to visit at the right time of the year.
Yeah.
We go to Palm Springs. A bunch of us go to Palm Springs most years for a week, and we have a ball because it's a great little town. But I wouldn't live there, right? It's not the place for me.
Yeah. No, that's a visit. The desert is definitely a visit place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so knowing that and understanding that is a real pivotal part of it's like another level of your intuition.
Okay.
So, and there's been podcasts out about me talking about intuition and timing. Okay. So God might give you an intuition, and what most entrepreneurs make the mistake, they go and create it immediately. And then they put themselves into bankruptcy, say a business intuition or whatever. They didn't ask, what's the timing on this? They're getting a future vision of where they're going, and it may be the next year or the year after. So they got time to prepare for that transition.
You're talking about the Viking Academy right now. Dude, you're so talking about the Viking Academy right now. Like I've received that message multiple times through the healers that I've worked with and through my direct requests or my conversations with God. And I'm like, is this the time? It's like, no, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing your podcasts and your interviews. Keep exploring. You're still preparing yourself for what it's going to be. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
And then, so when that happens, like, okay, God, what can I do to prepare myself for that event or that timing? So you use the time to prepare instead of just waiting. Like some people, they buy a lotto ticket, oh, I'm going to win the lotto, and then they spend the whole week doing nothing, and then they miss the numbers on the Saturday night. They just wasted a week. So, okay, I'm preparing to win. What do I can do in the meantime? And then suddenly they forget about the drawing on Saturday night because it wasn't about the lotto. It was about them getting into action and showing
right.
the weakness of waiting for things to happen. So that's the opposite of a quick start who will go and create it tomorrow and then put himself into financial stress and
Yeah.
destroy their teams and everything, their families, because they didn't ask for the timing. God will tell us and show us our future, and sometimes our guardian angel will do the same to help us for our future movement on the planet. But we just got to ask when the timing is.
And then where my, all progress starts by telling the truth. So here I am telling the truth. I have moments of communicating with God and listening to the answer and trusting and just going, okay, fine. A lot of the times I'm like, I don't know if this is just me, and I'm not really sure because it's counterintuitive to my above the neck thinking, right? It's all the experience and all the rest of that. So I'll be like, am I just fooling myself or not? Right. So I'll have moments where I will listen and I'll relax. That's the one thing that's for me. I really notice as soon as I relax and there's no heart flutter and it feels calm and peaceful. That seems to be the right feeling. But then I get a little scared and fearful that I'm doing it to myself and then I won't listen. Like that is the, what we talked about here is being able to discern between the two, right?
So what I
And so
did,
much discernment. Sorry, this last part. This is what I remember I was going to say. It's the faith in allowing that allowing it to happen, right? Or taking action on the message,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So I was very similar to you in that, and so I just asked God, God, can you train me to know what's my intuition and what's not? And I'll give you two examples. Right, this is way in the beginning when I started doing this, asking God to train my intuition. And the first one was this lady came to the door as a client. I didn't know who this lady was. She was in her 50s. And I opened the door to invite her in, and God said, go and buy her flowers. I'm like, flowers? I don't even know this lady. I was like in my 20s, right? And I'm like, oh, this is crazy, but you're the boss. So, okay. I just said, oh, we need to get some supplies for your session. So we went downstairs, went to the store. I got all some supplies because my own insecurity. And then I bought the bunch of flowers. And as I'm going out, I said, these are for you. And she broke down and cried. I'm like, holy shit, what have I done? This lady I don't even know, right? No one had ever given her flowers in her whole life.
No.
That was the healing. Now, there's no way I could consciously think to buy this lady who I don't know some flowers. God had to make it so dramatic that I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for God. So that's how I was learning about my intuition. Second one that happened, the client came to the door. Now, this client I knew. And so I said to her, as soon as she opened the door, I'm like, God said, she's got to go and do a cartwheel, do one of those cartwheels, right? And I said, oh, you need to go at the back and do a cartwheel. And she goes, well, I trust you, so I'll go and do it. So she went and did it. And the issue she had disappeared as she did the cartwheel. There's no way I could consciously think to tell someone to do a cartwheel, right? God was showing me what's the difference between my mind and what is intuition. And it was so dramatic, the healing for both ladies, that that's why this is not me. This is God speaking. My intuition is speaking. And that's how, so getting back, I asked God, train me, show me what is the difference between me and my intuition. And that's what you ask God.
Okay, got it. That's Thank you for that. Really, thank you for that. It was interesting because the last session when I was in Chicago, they were doing a thinking tool in the 10X, and I stepped away and I ended up having a one-on-one conversation with somebody else. And I was talking to them and blah, 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 saying these things. And then they turned and looked at me with almost like ghostly white and just looked at me and goes, "How did you know that I needed to hear that?"
Mm.
And I turned and looked at them and I almost said, "Well, I just knew." But I went, "I had no idea you needed to hear that. I just was flowing what God was telling me to say, but I wasn't really fully connected in, like going, tell me I wasn't going, as I'm talking to her, I wasn't saying, tell me what to say, but I could tell that everything I was saying was just easy. It was flow. I felt like almost energy vibrating through me as I was having the conversation, because it was one of those uplifting conversations, right? It was just
Yeah.
elevating. And then she looks at me with these, "How did you know how to tell me that?" And I was going, "I didn't. It's obviously what you needed to hear."
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful.
Man. We talked about it briefly, very briefly, in La Jolla, that you have a group coaching program that you're starting up. What can you tell me a bit more about that? I want the listener to be able to hear that, so that and then
So
we'll
I
talk
have,
about other ways to work with you as well. But the
yeah.
group coaching, I'm very curious about that.
So it's not actually group coaching, it's a group clearing. Okay.
Group
So
clearing. Okay.
rather than doing a one-on-one, I have clients that come, they want to have a clearing every month, but they don't want to have a full session. All right. They don't want to go on specific. They just want to feel good. They want to feel clear every month to clear. So I have a group clearing session called the Group Energy Transformation System, the GETS. And I do it twice at the moment. I'm doing twice a month. One is for a community, which is anyone who just wants to have a cleaning for themselves. And then I have another group, which is more focused on God. Okay. They want to have more of a connection with God. So one is a basic clearing for everyone, the community clearing, and the other is the connected gets, which is connecting with God, connecting with the Great Spirit. And it's a group session that helps people to feel free and clear so they can go forward. Now, I used to do this with teams, executive teams, before they have their annual meeting. I would do a group clearing for the whole team. So when they had their 2-day or 3-day meeting, it was like flowing. They weren't bringing any baggage with them. And then I thought, well, why don't I do this for the public as well? So that's why I created this program, the GETS program.
I love that. So where can people find that?
They can go on the website, Daniel White Coaching / or danielwhitecoaching.com/gets, GETS.
Okay.
And they'll get a link to just a landing page where they can register.
And that's what I love about this, is that your energy work, the healing that you do, it can be done remotely because there is no space and time in the spiritual
Yeah, for me,
quantum field.
for 25 years, I would do it all on live. I'd be traveling the world doing it. And one of the benefits of COVID for me was everyone switched to Zoom. So I used to go to Chicago like 6 to 8 times a year because clients would fly in to have sessions at Dan and Bab's house.
Right.
And now they say, "Oh, just do it on Zoom," because they get the same result. So, and it's easy for them; they don't have to fly in. So,
And it's easy for you because you don't have to,
right.
you can just
I
do
do
it
6
from,
countries in a day, right? It's great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You got coaching on your website there as well.
Yeah.
People can
So I do
access that.
one-on-one coaching. There is an introductory, like a good session for people to get a feel if they're a right fit for me and I'm a right fit for them. And then from there, it's called the energy assessment. And then, well, after that, we discuss where you want to go from there.
That's awesome.
Most clients will do quarterly sessions. They work on a project and they have one session a quarter just to clean themselves up and work going forward in their careers or their businesses or their family life or their spiritual. I'm having a lot of people wanting to work on spirituality, connecting with God.
It's I feel the energy shifting and moving,
Yeah.
and it's starting. It's like we're due for our upgrade, right? Our consciousness upgrade. It's it's starting to become more mainstream, and people are starting to, it's that energy. I can feel it, right? At the
Yeah.
same time, everything feels like it's moving more cohesively, and at the other side, it's going even more chaotically. Like it's like this polar opposites. Like the world couldn't be crazier, and the world couldn't be more in alignment to
That's why
raise its energy.
that's why you develop your intuition, your relationship with your intuition, with God. Life is great because you're flowing. You're not fighting.
I needed this conversation. I was going to say more than you know, but I don't think I need to say that because you probably do know. Because you're Daniel and you would know that. But I really needed. I really appreciated this conversation. It's exactly what I needed, and I hope the listener got out of it 1/10 of what I just got out of this conversation, because
So do I. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
this has
That's
been
right.
awesome.
Any way I can help. This is great.
Dude, okay, you got to come back on the podcast again. We got to do this one more time,
All
or
right.
multiple times. There's other things. We're going to talk about this offline too, but we'll wrap it up now, man. Thank you so much for being on
You're
the
welcome.
podcast.
It's been wonderful.
Thanks for listening to the Viking Academy podcast. Make sure to leave us your honest feedback by leaving a review on Apple or Spotify, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode.